back to the channel, guys. So this weekend I'm working on a couple things. One of the issues that I've been having is with my starter on the old Turbo 460. My truck's a 91, so it has the old style starter that was used from like the 70s on. I actually have it over here on the floor. I just pulled it out of the truck. So it's one of these big units that is not the high torque mini starter. And an issue I'm having since I've ran with the coil packs, when I'm starting, the truck is having a hard time cranking. I believe it's because of the draw from the coils. I've adjusted the battery compensation on the coils and it's made an improvement, but I think that going to a better starter, one of the smaller high torque mini starters, will help me out. So here's the high torque mini starter. I got it off Amazon. It's from like DB Electrical, something like that. It was $50, super cheap. These other ones, the old school big ones, are quite a bit more expensive. So I will do a little video here on wiring this guy up and setting it up, and that should make a big difference. My other project is a knock sensor. So I'm going to wire in this knock sensor to this shielded wire. This came off of an old Ford distributor setup, but it's good shielded wire. I'm going to run this shielded wire to the knock sensor, run it into this end, get wired into a headphone jack, which will plug into this amplifier, and then from the amplifier I'll plug into a pair of headphones. So this is kind of like a DIY not det can kind of deal, so I will be able to listen to engine noises through a pair of headphones while I'm driving. I've seen a lot of reviews and it looks like it works well, so I'm going to give it a shot. I don't have a whole lot invested in this. The knock sensor was, pretty inexpensive. It's a Bosch knock sensor off Amazon. This guy was like $30, and one of the Facebook groups I'm on, Guild of EFI Tuners, there's a guy that had just recently posted up about doing the same thing, and he said it worked well. So I'm gonna give it a shot and see. I think that'll help me do some road tuning and dial in the timing.
All right, guys, so here's where I'll put the knock sensor, right behind the alternator. Sits right here. So it's just gonna be behind the alternator. This is the block here. So it's the upper block, upper highest part of the block. This is the cylinder head and cylinder number 1. So pretty good spot for it. Bolts on the block are 7/16 by 14. And then I got these reducers that are 5/16 to reduce them down. They're pretty neat little guys. They just thread in, and then they're threaded on the inside. So it's like a nutsert type deal, or a helicoil, I guess. And I just threw those guys in there so that I can screw the smaller bolt for the knock sensor, and I just use this knock sensor part number right there.
Oh, in addition to that, I'm going to be putting in a new Bosch wideband 02. The one that's in the truck's been in there since 2017, and while I don't think it's bad, I'm going to swap it out and see if it changes any readings. Each sensor I calibrate with the Megasquirt to ensure that it's got the correct voltage at the correct points of AFR. So fully lean, fully rich. I measure the voltage and then put that into the scaling on the Megasquirt. So I'm going to do that and just see how it is, and then I'll keep my other sensor as a spare just in case this one fails. But I figure since 2017 I've been using the same wideband, it's not a bad idea to throw a new one in there. Also, not that I'm entirely worried about weight, which I'm definitely not. The truck's heavy, and it's about 6,000 pounds, 5,800 pounds with me in it. This high torque starter is about half the weight of this other guy. I pick them up. This one's considerably lighter. This one's hard to pick up by one hand. So that's neat. It bolts in the same spot. So my truck's a 91, like I said earlier. This is the stock starter for a 91. This is an aftermarket unit that I'm going to return to O'Reilly's. But this guy is off of a 92 and newer, 460. Bolts right in, just like it's supposed to. The wiring's a little bit different, but I'll give you guys show you how I did that. All right, guys, so for the solenoid wiring, this is a Motorcraft stock solenoid. The normal wire that would run to the starter gets the main power cable to the starter on the stock setup, gets moved over to this post. And then there's a solenoid mounted on the high torque starter that has its own lead, and you run that small gauge wire to this post.
So that way when you apply power to the key, it connects this guy to this guy. This will send a signal, like a lower output signal to the starter solenoid on the solenoid on the starter to tell it to engage, and then it's getting its main power from this. So it's just a little bit different. So basically you just move the wire that was here to that, and then the new wire off the starter connects to here. Pretty simple. So here it is installed under the truck. I put heat shield on it just to add a little bit extra, but if you look up here, so this is the new wire that runs to the left post on the solenoid. So it's just a smaller gauge wire on the solenoid on the fender. This is the new solenoid on the high torque mini starter. And then the power that you had running off of the old left post on the fender solenoid runs to this post here. So basically just move one wire over and then run this new one and you're good to go. It's pretty darn simple. I've already tested it to make sure it works, and this thing fires right up. I mean, it's amazing difference in how it starts. So now that the starter's installed, I'm going to move on to the knock sensor and get that set up. I'm going to temporarily install it on the block and run the line into the cab. I might do a permanent setup at some point, but this is just for getting my ignition timing dialed in. And I'm also going to be working on the wastegates, putting new springs in the wastegates. Alternator's back installed. I ran the knock sensor wire just temporarily up between there. It comes around here, and then it's just bundled up, and I just used a piece of Velcro to bundle it. When I'm ready to connect it, it just connects with the headphone jack here. I'll run it out through here, and it fits perfectly between this gap here, through the wing window into the cab. And that's just temporary, so that's only for, you know, tuning it with the headphones. And then once I'm done, I'm just going to take this guy off and unplug it. I'll leave the knock sensor on the block if I want to work on it again, or if I take it to a dyno, just so that we have that. Otherwise, it's just, you know, it's just temporary while I'm tuning. The Megasquirt does have knock control. My ECU requires a separate circuit board of some kind to be installed on the Megasquirt, which I don't have. So that's the reason why I'm not having Megasquirt doing it. I might go that way at some point though, so that it's controlled by the ECU and I don't have to worry about it. But let's move on to the wastegates. All right, so the wastegate for the front passenger side is right down there. You can see it. I'm going to pull that off. It has a 4.6 psi spring in it right now. Since my boost pressure, I've basically maxed out my electronic boost controller, and I'm only getting about 8-9 psi. So I need to go with bigger springs. Typically, you can only double the psi of what the spring's rated for. That's where I'm at right now. So everything's consistent, but I want to make some more boost. So I'm going to pop off these springs that are in there. I'm going to put some, I think they're 6.5 or 7 psi springs in, and that should give me enough to get to 14-15 psi. So here's my wastegates with the little screamer pipes out of the truck here. I did notice that they were leaking a little bit. These flanges, basically they leak where the flange, like where the hinge is, and then where these two connect. So need to figure something out. Like you can see that the exhaust was leaking on this bolt. So figure that out, but let me swap these springs, show you guys how I do it. So I just rig up a little clamp here and then take these guys off one at a time. I won't be able to do it one-handed. So I'm sure many of you have seen these wastegates inside, but the cap comes off, this guy sits in here like that. Since this is only the 6.5 psi spring, it's pretty easy to push down by hand. But there's the spring, fits in their little recessed groove there. And I'm going from this little guy to that bigger guy. This one is, according to VS Racing, is a 4.6 spring, 4.6 psi, and that's exactly what I'm getting with the two wastegates on only the wastegate, no electronic boost controller. 4.6 psi is exactly what I get. So my back pressure to boost pressure must be decent. This is not pushing the gate open. And then these guys are 6.4. So together they would be 10. No, that'd be 11 psi.
All right, it's been a few days or a few weeks actually. I ended up getting COVID and it kind of messed me up for a bit, but I'm back and we're back to working on the truck. So the new wastegate springs are installed. I'm gonna take it out and see where I'm hitting on the boost pressure. I'm hoping it's gonna be around 7 or so. That would be ideal. The knock sensor's installed and wired up so I can listen to it with my headphones. I'll try to figure out a way to get the audio recording on your guys' end so you can hear what I'm hearing. And then the new starter's in. So we're doing good. Gonna take the truck out for a little bit of tuning and seeing where my new boost pressure is hitting at. Ideally, it's gonna be around 7, so I can double that with the electronic wastegate controller and hit around 14. I don't plan on going much past that based on Richard Holdner's tuner math, or turbo math. I should be doubling my power with the 10 psi, or I should be doubling my power at 14 psi roughly in an ideal situation. The truck made 420 horsepower on an engine dyno, naturally aspirated, no turbo, so that should ideally put me over 800 flywheel. I don't know if it's going to hit that, and obviously timing comes into play. So we'll be, just working on it, road tuning it, trying to get the air fuels dialed with the water methanol. And then I've been reaching out to some companies trying to figure out a way to get it on the dyno. I'm getting turned down mostly. A lot of people don't want to mess with the Megasquirt for whatever reason, at least in my area. But I plan on tuning it myself, so I really just need to rent the dyno, and there's a place nearby that might let me do that. So let's get in the truck and go for a drive. So here's how the knock sensor is set up. So I just have it run through this body gap here on the hood, through the wing window, and then the line just comes in, plugs into, so you can see that, the amplifier right here. And then I have my headphones, just a cheap pair of headphones I had laying around. And then I just put this underneath my feet when I hop in the truck. Boost I just made, but it felt like a lot. Oh my gosh! Spinning the tire so easy. I don't know if you guys can see, but I got my headphones on for the knock sensor and I'm listening to it. It sounds good. I'm not hearing any detonation. I'm gonna pull over here in a second and take a look at my data log. But that felt real strong. Fuel was a little on the rich side, but it was good. Low 11s. Low to mid 11s. It was around 11.5 between 3,000 and 3,800, and then 4,000 and up. It drifted richer to around 11.0. I'm going to do a couple like low RPM kind of roll in and just listen to it for any detonation. I made peak torque around 3,200 RPM, so that's where I'm trying to make sure it doesn't hit anything. This thing's ripping. Holy cow. Woo. Fuel pressure's right where it should be. Oil pressure's holding strong. Just spun the tires. crap, this thing rips. I mean, spinning the tires at ease, completely dry pavement. It's a nice warm day, but just, good Lord, it rips. Let's take a look at the data log. All right, we got Megalog HD, Megalog Viewer HD open here. Let's take a look at this log. Okay. So with Megalog Viewer, you can make marks while you're data logging. If you hit the space bar, it will make a mark, and then you can easily find it by searching for the marks. So I think my second mark was the pull and shift here. There she is. Okay. Another easy way to do it too, if you're looking for something in particular, is you can search anything. You just right click. I'm going to search map. Highest pressure right there. 177. That is 10.8 psi. Well, we're way over what I wanted. I was hoping for 7, but it is strong and feels real good. AFR, look at that. Target AFR 11.5, we're 11.3, 11.32, 11.34. Starts going rich a little bit there, so it's drifting rich. Oh yeah, we got down into 10.9. So pull fuel out up top. I'll do some math and figure that out, but holy cow, this thing just freaking rips. 9 psi, so it's tapering off. Okay, so when I get the electronic boost controller, when I turn it back on, I'll ramp it up to where it adds more boost on the top end. So we came in, it always has a peak boost down, like right when I roll into it, but we're at 10, was it 10.8 was the max, and then it rolls down to low 9s. So that's all right. We can work with that. It's a little bit much for the spring, but that's okay. I don't really want to buy new springs, but I can if I need to. There's a couple different steps that I can go to get that down so that it's only on spring only. So the plan is to run 92 octane with no water methanol and spring only. And then with water methanol or methanol injection, I'm going to do like my own mix. I'm going to go pick up some pure methanol, do my own mix of methanol and water, do some testing and see if maybe I just run pure methanol. So we're at doing good. So we started the pull. Man, it just rips. So then I shift. That was after the shift. My bad. Zoom back out here. So this is before. This is when I've initially hit it. 8 psi, 9 psi, 10. Air fuel. Yeah, target's 11.4. We're at 11.5, 11.4, 11.3, 11.26. That's pretty damn good. Pretty close to target. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm going to end the video off here. Don't want to make this video any longer than what it already is. So starter's working perfect, just like it should. There's barely any battery draw now during cranking. It fires up a lot faster. The NOx sensor headphone deal that I made is working really well. I wasn't able to get some audio, but I'll figure out a way to get it on my laptop and record some audio so you guys can hear what it sounds like. But I was able to initiate some detonation and I could hear it, and it's very audible. It's crystal clear when it's happening and when it's not happening. So it's super easy to dial in, really. So NOx sensor's working good, starter's working good. New wastegate springs are around 10 psi, which is fine for now. I'm running it out and tuning it. It's working good. Need some more tuning to do, but not a lot, and we're pretty close. We're within 5% everywhere. So I would like it closer than that before I stop tuning it and call it good enough, but it's pretty damn good the way it is. So next video, I will be working on getting the electronic wastegate controllers dialed in and turn the boost up a little bit more and keep on going. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.